Welcome in to DNVR Bets Daily. I'm your host, Andre Simone. No Ryan Koenigsberg at Broncos training camp today. And I am shadeless. None of us in this city earned our shades this week. But I've got young Hank here with us. Hank, you have been both a sage, provided some sage guidance here at the casino for Ryan and I. Well, at least for me. And for Ryan, I think you've been a bit of a trigger. And you've taken him down some path of doing some of the things he's advised me not to do. And now being around you and seeing it work, ooh, it's been a dark turn. So thank you for being here with us. I think the listeners need the kind of sage advice you've been providing for us, especially on this turnaround Monday. It's been a tough 4-day stretch, you know. Rockies playing the Dodgers. Avs can't get it done game one, and the Nuggets after yesterday are down 1-3. So to keep our mind off those things and to kind of digest them as well, I've got some quick hitters for you.
All right,
I'm ready. Okay. Was this the worst sporting weekend of your young life?
Wow.
Yeah, that's out there. Huh?
Right off the bat.
Yep,
I mean,
yep.
At least in terms of the emotional pain, I think it has to be. Like I was talking about it with my roommate after that. The second time the Nuggets got blown out, the second time they didn't look like they belonged on the court, the 37-point loss.
Game 3.
I was like, you know what? This feels like when the Broncos lost that Super Bowl. And I know like some of you older Broncos fans remember multiple of those. I only remember the one.
Yes.
And it killed me. And this kind of killed me in that same way, where you just question everything. It's like, I don't know if the Nuggets are actually good. And then for that to happen while the Rockies are being bad, and then the Avs to drop that game. Like, in terms of a weekend, yes, this is the worst weekend of my life.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. Good. Well, I'm glad we could have you here, and you're still smiling, so that's great. Dustin Johnson, DJ, won with a -30. I saw a crazy theory on Twitter saying that we're seeing all these insane post-COVID scores in part because there are no fans. That seems a little out there, but you are one of our expert golfers on staff, so do you have any insights on that?
Well, my insight is that are
you better or worse when you have the 5 people crew following you on podcast?
That's a weird question, because Allie will remember this. The first time we went golfing with cameras on me, things did not go well.
That's right.
And
there was a girl around, though.
Allie says there was a girl.
There were girls.
Oh,
that is fair.
Girls, multiple. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we have to count Allie, too. But then after that, I feel like
does
I've
count.
warmed up to it. You know, like the first time playing Vic and Moj, you get out there and you're like, oh, boy, this is a little bit nerve-wracking. I can't embarrass myself, not only in front of these two, but in front of the thousands of people who are watching.
Correct.
But then you hit like the first tee shot, get in the fairway, you're like, okay, we're good to go.
got
And
in
then
your
the next time we played, it was like, yeah, this is just what we do now.
So maybe
but
not
I
a
do
correlation, huh?
Well, I almost wonder if a guy like DJ can like look past it. If it's just like the distraction of the whole thing that gets the younger guys caught up. The guys who normally I think would get scared by the crowds, now they're scared of like there are no crowds. Like, what are we doing out here? This is really strange to not have any people around, because even, I mean, there aren't a lot of people at the amateur events, that kind of stuff, but there are like people around. They're still not used to just a totally dead, empty golf course. I don't know if that's why DJ put 30 strokes under par on the board, but who knows?
Insane. Percent chance the Nuggets come back in the series. Just need a number.
15.
50.
Give it to Nikola Jokic.
All right.
Give it to Nikola Jokic.
So you're saying there's a chance. Malone on the hot seat or chill out? Michael Malone, Nuggets head coach. Chill out.
Chill out.
Okay,
Chill out.
love it. And your biggest betting wins since sports have been back.
Ooh.
Again, you've inspired Ryan and I like no other. You've been killing the free bets. I know you have lots of things to go off of.
I think there was a free bet. I used my $74 free bet in a 3-way parlay, and wound up winning. I think it was like $270 on the Avs game was the final leg. Plus, I had some other parlays going into that Avs game. So I can't remember. I think that was game 1 of the Avs
against the Coyotes.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So that was the best win for me.
Good for you. Yeah, and what's kind of been your betting strategy? I know you've given some sage advice. You've been kind of wise in picking your spots and finding a way to reach profitability, so slowly but surely.
So I've found that there have been a lot of locks in my mind. Like a lot of these Avs games, like especially like this game 4 of the Avs, or I guess it was game 5, their 4th win against the Coyotes. They ended up winning 7-1. We all knew they were going to win that game.
Yeah.
I think after seeing them win 7-1, but you just can't get good value on it.
Right.
And so if you're thinking, I want maybe to throw $50 on that game, for me, I think at this point, especially because I watch you guys' show, I'm a pretty good bettor, and I can find some other things that I would also like to bet on. So instead of just throwing that $50 on the Avs, I'll throw $5 on a parlay with maybe the Bucks to win by 12.5 because I'm feeling confident in that, and with the Avs to win, and just kind of slowly build value over the course of, I mean, typically these day on, day off, over the course of like the 2 days leading up to the Avs game, and that's been pretty successful for me. But at the same time, making sure you're pulling some value out, unless you are really sure. That's like, that only works if you think it's a total lock that the Avs win, and that's something worth building value for. Otherwise, it's find your meat and potatoes, $5 bet that pays out $9. Get your wins, and then once you have a little money to play with, make sure you play with that money on 3 or 4 leg parlays, things that can happen. But again, just try to end with that.
So you're more of a, we're just trying to skim the margins, double our 2x our margins here, and then when we've built up a little, try to mine some safer parlays.
Yeah.
And you're not afraid of a buyout. You're not afraid of a hedge. Again, your strategy with the parlay as well is just doubling, tripling at most, not getting too greedy.
The strategy is just trying to be like a nice, smart, good bettor. You find good value, like some of the picks that we found today, and say, you know what, the Avs are going to win, and I'm not saying that tonight. I don't think that that's a lock. But when you find that lock, start building some value on it. Don't put yourself in a situation where you have to throw an entire day's bets on it. And sometimes it's not going to work, but I don't know. I think it goes well.
Okay. I like it. Thanks, buddy. And then you were also mentioning your live betting strategy to me earlier today. That's another way you've been kind of, these favorites that you really like, but you don't see a ton of value with live bets or kind of shorter bets. You're finding ways to get around that as well.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get into this Bucks game coming up. But for that, for example, I think right now the Bucks are minus 1,000. Bet $10, win $1. There's no reason to do that. You can play the line, which again we'll get into later, and I think it's a pretty decent line for the Bucks. But the other option is to watch the first quarter, watch into the second quarter, wait for the Magic to make some sort of run and go up by 8 points, 10 points, and then jump in then. And I don't know. I feel like I'm a much better live bettor than pregame bettor. And when I'm making the parlays, that's where things seem to fall apart for me, is the games that I'm not deciding during the game. Like if I'm making a bet, it's like, the Bucks to win the game when they're down 10, you get to minus 500. I still don't think I'd take it minus 500. Parlay that with something else, but then it's that second game. It's the one that I picked beforehand that doesn't go well for me. So that's why small parlays starting with live bets is working well.
I like it. I appreciate it, Henry. I hope we can take some of this advice and really do some stuff with it. And we need to start with this Avs-Stars game. Avs still the favorites. Minus 155. They're still favorites to win this series. Minus 122, which decent value, guys. Decent value.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of luck on the overs with the Avs, which have always hit except for one game. You can remember me. We watched it live, and I was very distraught that the empty netter didn't hit
so much fun.
Twice. But aside from that, the overs have been, really hitting, and I've also had some luck with the Avs on the puck line. Of course, they're coming off a loss. Maybe I don't want to get too bullish. And Ryan's big on Avs regular time line. They're plus 108 in that one. That's a bit of a adoption from our soccer days, which frankly is the only thing that kept me alive this weekend. So anything we like here on Avs-Stars? I definitely still like the over. It's 5.5. Was 5 coming into game 1, but minus 107. I still think that's really good odds.
I do too.
And I think I'm kind of going with RK on the Avs to win in regular time, plus 108. I think that's pretty good value.
Yeah, I like it. I think I'm a little bit scared off from taking the Avs to win these games after seeing that first game because they didn't necessarily play poorly. Like I think that they played some pretty good hockey and still lost by 2 goals. And it goes back to something that AJ Hafley told me back when this all first started, when he just said, like, don't bet on hockey games. Like, weird things happen in hockey games. And I didn't listen to him. I made a bunch of money because I didn't listen to him. The Avs were really good. But I do think that the value may be more in that series win than in this game win, especially now that you can get decent odds like minus 122.
Right, and probably that's not going to get any better if the Avs take care of business here. I thought that top line looked really at another level against the Stars.
Yeah, and
in fact, if not for the rest of the forward depth not really taking care of business, I think they probably are able to come back and win that game as well.
Yeah, and that kind of leads me into my big bet on this game for tonight. I mean, I guess unless you want to count the series line as well. And that's Nathan MacKinnon putting up 2 points.
Ooh, I love
2
that.
plus
I love
points
that.
at plus 115. He was everywhere in the last game. I think in a series like this, a player like that is expected to score in every game, as crazy as that sounds. But that's what Nathan MacKinnon is, and that's what he does. And so I think you got to put some money on that. And for him to get an assist at some point, I really like those odds.
That's incredible value.
It is.
Mac at plus 115. I like that a lot in the Coyotes. It took him a while to get going, but then once that finally hit, I think in Game 3, he hasn't stopped since.
Agreed.
Makar would have me intrigued as well. I think he's really been at another level. You know, Makar to get 1 point minus 143 feels fairly safe.
Yeah.
And 2 points, you can get him at plus 375, which is quite nice. Anything else on Avs-Stars that's got you intrigued?
Not really. I think after seeing that last game, seeing the loss, I'm kind of staying away from this one. Again, play that series line. You're getting good value on the better team to win the series. Don't pass that up. And then Nathan MacKinnon, best player in hockey, throwing that out
Absolutely.
there. He's playing like it, and he's going to score 2 points tonight.
I love that. And we should mention, with the money line, there is a little more risk added with the Gruby injury, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Sticking with the NHL before we move on to the Rockies, anything that has you intrigued here? I know we've both liked the Canucks. We made a lot of money on the Canucks Blues in that last series, but they come out, have a rough one against the Knights. All of a sudden, they're plus 500 to come through in that series.
I know, and
Seems like a tough matchup.
It does.
Yeah.
And I think that as we watch these playoffs, and the NBA playoffs as well, there's some teams that have it and some teams that don't.
Yep.
There's some teams that are ready to compete in a bubble, and, maybe the Nuggets aren't one of those teams. Maybe they're figuring it out, but it's just a different level when you watch them compared to some of these other teams. They are doing the stuff the Blazers are doing, the Lakers are doing, making those big shots. And they took strides in that direction last night, but I'm not convinced that the Canucks winning that last series wasn't just because neither of those two teams was ready and the puck had to bounce one way.
Yeah, I think you're right. You're right that the bubble has kind of made it, there's a have and a have-nots.
Yeah.
And it's mostly upstairs. I kind of like the Flyers here at minus 115. The Islanders, really nice story. And, hey, they're a tough out because they play really, really good team hockey. The Flyers, as producer Ali was telling us, have really benefited from no bubble. They're one of those young leg teams that we really kind of thought could do well in this kind of setting, and not having fans has maybe aided them. So I kind of like that money line as well. All right, let's move on to the MLB, where the Rockies are no longer over 500. They're facing the Diamondbacks. They're now underdogs. And it's Ryan Castellani on the mound against Merrill Kelly, who actually has a good ERA for the Diamondbacks. Look, Castellani, you can get an over-under K-line now. It's set at 3.5. I think he goes over.
Yeah.
I also really like under 3.5 runs in the first 3 innings. Castellani's been really good second time around the lineup. It's the third time around that he struggles and gets pulled. And the Rockies have been slow starters themselves. So I think that's pretty safe. First 3 innings, 3.5. It's kind of like an MPJ over like 1.5 threes. It can be done nice and quick, and then we move on with our lives. Yeah. Outside of that, I'm not sure I'm too confident in just about anything here.
Yeah, I mean, the one that I really look at here is the over 4.5 runs for the Diamondbacks. As much as I hate throwing that out because I really want the Rockies to win, I just don't see them keeping a team under 5 runs right now because that's just not where the Rockies are at in my mind.
Not on a Castellani day, right? If this was Senza, if this was Herman, if this was Freeland, maybe so. Coming off the series they just came off of with the Dodgers, where the bullpen had to do some heavy lifting those last couple games. And now you have Castellani, who hasn't proven to be able to really go over 4 innings. You're asking a lot of your bullpen to limit these guys to under 5 runs, especially because the Diamondbacks are kind of hot right now. They've kind of gone the opposite direction of the Rockies. They started off slow. Now they're warming up, and they've got some nice young bats on this lineup too. So, yeah, well, I hate to say it. I think that's a safe bet.
Yep, over 4.5 on the Diamondbacks. Rockies have given up at least 5 runs in 4 of their last 5 games.
Yep, and that's been some on the road, some at home too. So the Coors Field not impacting things too much. What else has you intrigued here on the MLB slate?
Not much, if I'm being honest. I mean, we were talking about Lance Lynn with the Rangers. Can he just keep him in it with plus odds against the A's?
Yeah,
I'm not so sure he can though.
I know. Well, that's the problem. Is we took Lance Lynn last time around against the Padres. Yep. He throws a gem. They're able to tie it up 2-2, but the Rangers lose it in the 10th, and they don't have a great bullpen. So, Lance Lynn or not, if it goes 10 innings, we're in trouble, and that could always happen. So maybe this is another one where you're able to mine and, wow, but first 3 innings over-under set at 2.5.
Ugh.
First 5 set at 3.5. So I'd almost go under 2.5 in the first 3 innings in this one.
Maybe,
but yeah, I mean,
maybe you change the odds. Instead of taking the Rangers to win at plus 128, you take them plus 1.5 at minus 134.
Yeah, that's not bad. I could see that. Right, should be close at least with Lynn on the mound. I think that's pretty good. Okay, and then NBA, we don't have Nuggets, but we first off. And before we get into this prop, we're just going to shout out DraftKings Sportsbook. All this stuff Hank and I are talking about, the free bet that made you all that money, all the props, all the buyouts, all the hedges, the live bets. There's no better functioning app. We chat with friends and subscribers who try the other apps. There's no comparison, frankly, and then we've got all these great offers, including this one for the NBA that we're going to get into tonight. So, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code DNVR to claim your share of $100 million in instant giveaways and put yourself in the running for the $1 million cash top prize. That's promo code DNVR to get your share of $100 million in prizes only at DraftKings. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. Other terms and conditions and restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. Okay, the NBA special deal we've got going on. It's 8/24, so it's, and it was Kobe's birthday yesterday. So as this special kind of Kobe-inspired odds boost or offer that you're getting from DraftKings, you can it's a $50 minimum on this Lakers-Blazers spread for Game 4. So the Lakers are favored by 7, so you can take the Blazers plus 7 or the Lakers minus 7, $50 or more. And then every point the Lakers, regardless of who you bet on, Blazers or Lakers, every point the Lakers go over 81, you're going to get $1. So they go off for 101 points, you get $20.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, this isn't like the true free money like some of the other DraftKings bets. Like, this is one where you have to get it right, unless they're going to put up
to reach profitability.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. If it's a $50 minimum, then you need them to go 50 points. You need 131, which could totally happen. You could just get your money back for free.
Right.
But this one does scare me a little bit more than some of the promotions in the past.
I know.
Especially this game. I think that it being this game is what scares me away a little bit more. But Lakers minus 7. I think they have to win the game. I'm just a little bit nervous saying that they're going to cover.
That is the question, because you feel like this almost sets up like the Nuggets series has set up.
Mm-hmm.
Game 1, big win for the Nuggets, but, they kind of pull it out with some big shots.
Yep.
And that's similar to what Game 1 happened for the Blazers. I mean, Dame had to hit some huge shots. Gary Trent Jr. had some big shots. C.J. McCollum had a big one when they were down like 2 possessions. And then, Game 2 and 3, the Lakers have really imposed their will. So Game 4, couldn't you see, similar to what Murray did, Dame going off for 50, this being closer, but the Lakers still overcoming and going up 3-1?
Yeah.
So I guess I'm leaning Blazers.
I could definitely see it, but I could also see that with Zach Collins out now, how does that change that team? Because they do create so much space with him on the floor. And now what? They're throwing Whiteside out there more, was your guess?
Yeah, and with the Lakers bigs, they're playing the Twin Towers at all times. That's a concern.
Yep. I don't know. I think if I were to pick one, I think I'd go Lakers.
Interesting.
Yep.
I like it.
And at the same time, remember, you can hedge too. You can just take the free money. If you want to take the Lakers -7, hedge it out a bit with the Blazers and just take the free bucks after. That might be the way to go if you're not confident. Or also play the live lines. You got to get the bet in before the game, but you take the Lakers, maybe
that's what
Lakers
I would do.
Go on a run, and then you want to hedge it out at the Blazers +12. Give yourself a chance at like the double win. Make sure you're getting some of that money back. That might be the move. And I would say I expect the Lakers to go up. I think that's a lot more likely than the Blazers to go up and move that line in the other direction.
Love that. We've got an early one going on right now. I'm kind of sad that with fewer sports, we're having fewer, not fewer, but that NHL and NBA, they're trimming it down because we're advancing.
You can't just sit and take your pick of the sports every morning. You
I
have
know.
to watch what they give you.
Right. So get in early right now. Bucks Magic. We were kind of talking. Don't mind the Bucks -20. That's probably closed right now, but with some live adjustments, you should still. And we just think the Bucks are going to go up 3-1 and kind of win this big. And,
This is going to be a blowout. I had a couple of things that I really liked here. I've made some money off the Bucks in the last game at things like the first to 10 points, first to 15 points. Today, that first to 10 is at -205, so I might jump in on that right now. Again, with those -205s, when I make those bets, those are the bets I like to parlay. Those are the ones where I like to say, if you do think the Avs tonight are a lock, then parlay that with the Avs. Start building your value. If you're going to put $50 on the Avs to win, instead put $10 on this with the parlay. Boost those odds a little bit. Also, like you said, the alternate line, -19.5 at +245. I think this is a blowout. I think that's a pretty good bet. If you want to be a little more cautious, then -14.5 is at +107. That's some really good value.
That's good. Solid.
Yeah.
I love it.
Me too.
Thanks, brother. This was a blast. Do you have I know we kind of unloaded the clip. I should mention, so one little parlay as Hank and I were putting all this together and I was listening to you talk for the day is Rockies under 3.5 in the first three. Rockies Diamondbacks under 3.5 in the first 3 innings, parlayed with Bucks -20, or you can adjust and take the ones Henry took. Duncan Robinson, we didn't talk about this. In this other Heat Pacers series, Duncan Robinson over 13.5 points scored, +100.
I like that.
And you think he's due for another big one?
I think so. But I did find something from that game that I like better.
Ooh, lay it on me.
Jimmy Butler over 0.5 3-pointers. He just needs to make 1 3-pointer. The odds are +110. You're probably thinking, there's a reason that they don't expect him to make a 3. Well, that's because he didn't make one the last game. But he was 2 for 3 the game before that. He was 2 for 2 the game before that. He missed both of his attempts last game. That's a good amount of attempts. I think he's going to make one, and that's some good value there, I think. So I might swap that in.
I like it, and I'd even stick the over for the Avs game, which I'm feeling pretty good about too. So,
Oh, I'll throw in one more. Vucevic, going back to that Bucks game.
Ooh, yeah.
Over 2.5 3-pointers at -117. He shot 8 in each of the 3 games. He's consistently shooting 8 3-pointers. You need him to make 3. I think that makes sense. He's only made 2 in each of the last 2, but he made 5 in the first game. There's some good numbers. I think that's another one I might put some money on.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Thank you, brother. If these picks go well, we might have to have you on again.
Whew, some pressure. Thank you for not saying that before the show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good call by me. And since you are our good luck charm, why don't you wish the listeners good luck as we go out? Because, with me, it's
That's true.
my dopey, shadeless eyes. No one wants that.
Wow, shadeless. Good luck, listeners.
There you go. Good
There you
luck.
go.
We'll see you tomorrow.